very good afternoon to you. You're watching KTN Weekend at 1. My name is Najma Ismail. Now, the Jubilee Alliance party nominations are currently underway in Kajiado Central. The party was unveiled 1 week ago and is meant to be the new vehicle for President Uhuru Kenyatta's National Alliance and his deputy William Ruto's United Republican Party, which are currently under the Jubilee coalition. The nomination exercise was scheduled to begin at 6 a.m. and end at 4 p.m. in 55 of the polling stations. The nominees for the by-election are Joyce Leteipan Kimojino, Patrick Tutui, Elijah Mumesi Kanchori, Lena Mpoke and Anthony Kiroken. The Orange Democratic Movement will conduct its primaries on Wednesday. The winner of the by-election slated for March 16th will replace ODM's Joseph Kaiseri, who stepped down to take up an appointment as Cabinet Secretary for Interior and Coordination of National Government. Moving on to Isiolo now, the Deputy Governors Forum has come out to condemn what they describe as a poor working relationship with the county governors. Speaking during a meeting attended by all 47 deputy governors in Isiolo County, the Deputy Governor of Narok County, Evelyn Chipkirui, said the poor working relationship was threatening to derail devolution. She disclosed that the Deputy Governors Forum has formed a mediation team to work towards ensuring governors and their deputies coexist harmoniously. The same sentiments were echoed by Kisii County Deputy Governor Joash Mangi.
What do we do? We are going to appeal to our colleague governors that when issues arise in counties, can we sit together and ensure that some of these issues, we can tackle them as individuals in counties. But we don't want a scenario where the whole country is witnessing violent activities that are arising in some of these counties.
But we also noted that there's a need to give the county government a role in security, because at the moment, there's governors and the deputies play a very role in security matters in the counties. There's need to make sure that the governors are given the county governments are given a substantive role in security matters. We want to appeal that there's need to devolve educational infrastructure. Hii maneno ya kujenga madarasa na vitu kama hiyo ni vizuri kuwa handled by the county governments.
Now, a group of mechanics and Juakali artisans in Nyeri town were today up in arms against private developers whom they say have made their life a misery. The mechanics who protested this morning said they had been kicked out of the Nyeri Grogon area, an area they claim to have worked in for many years. The mechanics added that the new area they are supposed to relocate to has also supposedly been occupied by another private developer. Through their chairman, the Nyeri Juakali artisans said they have been forced to operate on road reserves and pavements, something that has made shop owners unhappy as this is interfering with their businesses.
Shida yetu ile iliyoko kubwa sana, mahali ya kufanyia kazi. Sasa tunafanyia kazi kwa hiyo wall kama IDPs.
Kando ya barabara tuna mashida, sababu wakati mwingine hata wakubwa wakipita sisi huondolewa. Tunakaa kwanza wafanye mikutano yao ndio turudi tena. Na mtu anataka chakula.
Nyinyi matajiri. Hamuna hata huruma. Na unajua hata tajiri hawezi kaa peke yake. Lazima akuhitaji na lazima anihitaji. Lakini sasa ile unachukua kiwanja kama hii natumikia watu, tulikuwa hapa ndani tulikuwa 500.
Hata sisi watu wa Nyeri tunasema ile kiwanja ya Asian Quarter ambayo ni ya umma ilikuwa cemetery, na hiyo kiwanja ingekuwa inasaidia hawa watu wa mechanic, hiyo irudishwe, na serikali wenyewe Minister Giru na commissioner wa ardhi wachukue jukumu wakati huu, hiyo plot irudishwe kwa wananchi, ndio hawa watu wawe wafanyie biashara yao huko ya mechanic. Tuna wengine pale chini karibu na slaughterhouse ambayo ilikuwa imetegewa watu wa mechanic. Hata hiyo uwanja ilishukuriwa na jia ambao tujui. Sasa imejengwa manyumba ya watu na tunataka hata hiyo irudishwe ndio watu wapate pahali ya kufanyia kazi. Mnaona?
Now, a driver of a trailer narrowly escaped death when the trailer was driving burst into flames. The driver was coming from the port of Mombasa en route to Nairobi when the trailer developed mechanical problems after pulling to the side of the road. The front of the trailer burst into flames. Efforts to control the fire were fruitless. Residents helped the driver remove goods worth millions of shillings from the container. Residents lamented that the area lacks a fire station and local authorities should ensure that firefighters are easily available in such incidences. The World Bank is seeking to partner with county governments in funding the health sector to ensure Kenyans access affordable healthcare. The Council of Governors chairperson Isaac Ruto says governors are in talks with the National Treasury to facilitate direct payment of funds meant for the health sector to the counties.
What we have been doing with the World Bank this past few months has been streamlining the flow of funds, which have not actually gone to the counties for a bit of time. But now we've agreed on a methodology of delivery of the money coming straight from the central bank in the normal way that devolved funds are disbursed. So we've agreed on that. We are also discussing new funding structures and systems and policies. But we are generally in agreement on the priorities because it is very critical, for example, that we provide proper health care, even in the counties that have never received proper health care. We have statistics very clear that about 100,000 children die within 5 years of birth. These are the much more critical issues that we must address. We are already aware that there is lack of water in a number of facilities, and this contributes to problems with children.
Welcome back to the Weekend at 1. Now, drought is looming in Samburu County after rains failed in the area. Residents have been forced to start migrating to other areas where they can access water and food. The county government of Samburu is now appealing to the national government to help address the situation before it gets out of hand. Timothy Otieno with that story.
The search for water in Samburu County has begun in earnest after the rains failed, leaving farmers to reap losses after all their crops dried up. William Lekopien, a farmer and resident of Samburu County, says that he has nothing left after all his hard work literally dried up.
Hivyo tunaomba hata serikali yetu kuu itusaidie ndio tupate relief kwa sababu sisi hatupatangi relief.
And he is not alone. Pastoralists too are becoming affected by the increasingly biting drought.
Maji huwa tupatange yenye inatutosha, tukipata tu kidogo, ng'ombe kiasi kidogo inakunya hiyo inaisha, zingine zinaenda tu kushinda hivyo.
The county government has raised a red flag and is saying that its people may soon begin dying if nothing is done.
About 60% of the population is currently suffering food insecurity.
The governor has convened a crisis meeting to help come up with mitigation procedures for the drought. Timothy Otieno, KTN.
Now, do you believe in miracles? Most of you will say yes in reference to great deeds attributed to God. But residents of Kararia village in Marakwet East have been left in utter shock after a 9-year-old boy allegedly single-handedly lifted a big tree that had been lying on the ground for 3 years and restored it to the place where it was before it was cut down. Masi Kandie has that story.
It's a village in awe, an epic spectacle that awed the locals of the sleepy village perched on the fringes of Embobot Forest in Marakwet East sub-county. A story that even when you see the evidence of it, you wouldn't still comprehend. A 9-year-old boy allegedly single-handedly lifted a tree that had fallen 3 years earlier, bringing it to life.
Nikajaribu kuja tingisa haitingisiki. Nikarudi nikajaribu nikaenda uliza sasa uliamshaje? Akaniambia tu niliamsha na nikashikilia chini Mara ya pili nikaamusha ndio ikasimama. Hivyo tu ndio kijana aliniambia hivyo.
According to the boy's father, Richard Komen, his son, a class 4 pupil at a local primary school on the material day, went into the forest together with his peers when the young boy told his friends to move so that he can make the tree stand to its original place.
Yenyewe ilikuwa mshangao, lakini kwa huwa saa zingine nasema kweli ni muujiza, lakini kwangu mimi naona ni jambo la kawaida tu, miti inasamuka hivyo tu.
Hundreds of residents from far and wide are now trooping to the village to witness the occurrence, which has been linked to the supernatural, and hopefully see the tree. But what others see as a spectacle, elders say there was a need for a cultural cleansing, claiming that the boy was in communication with the ancestors because what he did was peculiar.
Tukafanya tu hii maneno ya kiwase, tukachinja kondoo, tukatafuta hii kitu ya maratina kidogo, tukatengeneza, ndio tukatubia hii watoto wetu maguga sangu hii.
The women of Kararia village say they also used the same tree for firewood. The tree in question, which now stands out in the forest, had been split for firewood right from top down to the middle after it fell 3 years ago, but was still partially held by the roots.
Ilikuwa mwaka wa 2012. Hii miti ikaanguka. 2011. Ilikuwa inanyesha sana.
The family says they have been praying for the boy, adding that he has since birth behaved differently, at times giving decisions made only by the elderly.
Ana konjeka, lakini alipokaa kitu kama wiki moja hivi, ndiye akaona huwa anakaanga na mamake. So huwa kaambia mamake siku moja, naona kama kuna huwa mkono wake sasa. Huwa akiongea anaongea mpaka anakaa namna hii. Anashika mkono wake hivi. Sasa akasema, mama, huwa naonanga mkono yake kama inakuwa kubwa sana.
Residents say they want the area fenced off.
Serikali yetu ya county wapate kutufungia hapa, ili watu wengine ambao watakuja kuangalia kwamba iwe an historical site.
Masi Kandie, KTN, Kararia Village, Elgeyo Marakwet County.
Now, when Kenyan police seized a truck packed with over 200 elephant tusks at Mombasa port last year, the bus led to the rare arrest of suspected ivory kingpin Faisal Mohammed Ali. Conservationists hope Ali's trial will shed light on the shadowy supply chain that funnels ivory from Africa to Asia markets. Here's more on this story.
In Kenya's coastal city of Mombasa, the trial for one of the country's most wanted criminals has begun. Faisal Mohammed Ali is on Interpol's shortlist for crimes against the environment. In this case, ivory trafficking. Arrested in Tanzania last month, he was extradited to Kenya and charged with illegally dealing in wildlife trophies. Catching an alleged ivory kingpin is rare, and activists hope that Ali's trial will shine a light on the shadowy supply chain that funnels ivory from Africa to Asian markets.
It's not just for the small fish, it's also for the big ones that are involved, and it doesn't matter what level they are or how much money they have or how well connected they are across the boundaries, that the law provides for them to be caught up with.
But while large seizures happen regularly, arrests and convictions rarely follow here. A recent 5-year study of wildlife cases before Kenyan courts found that only 7% of those convicted of offenses against elephants and rhinos actually went to jail. The modern ivory trade is dominated by a small number of mafia-like organizations capable of paying off a wide network, from the poachers themselves to park rangers, shipping agents, politicians, and judges. These syndicates are pushing Africa's elephants towards extinction. A joint UN Environment Program and Interpol study last year said that up to 25,000 African elephants are killed each year to feed an illegal trade worth up to $188 billion.
It sounds crazy, but this is actually a war. It is organized crime on an international level, and it's completely out of control.
From the nature reserves of East and Central Africa, Ivory is smuggled to the Indian Ocean ports of Kenya and Tanzania, from where shipping containers are exported to Asia. Ivory is worth more than $2,000 per kilo at market. And with arrests rare, convictions infrequent, and penalties low, there are few disincentives. But Police Commander Daoud Mohammed says that successfully convicting Ali could change this.
Actually, if this case goes through and he faces the full face of the law, it will be a deterrent measures. It will be a plus to the police work. It will be a plus to the whole justice system of Kenya.
With Ali's trial, Kenyan justice is also on the dock. A litmus test of Kenya's ability to apply rigorous justice to wildlife crime and end the era of impunity for good.
Now, in Tanzania, hundreds of people are killed each year accused of being witches. Many victims are elderly, vulnerable, or marginalized, or own property that greedy relatives seize after accusing of witchcraft. Here's more on this story.
2 years ago, Sophia Shadrack's mother was killed by a mob in this remote village in northern Tanzania. Her alleged crime? Witchcraft. The incident began and ended with tragedy. A small boy was killed by a hyena. Villagers, terrified and grieving, claimed the animal had been possessed by the sorcery of Sophia's mother and 3 other older women. The next night, the women were murdered, their homes destroyed.
Walianza wakamkata panga, alipoanguka ndo wakaanza kumwekea makuni.
They cut her with machetes. Then they took firewood, mattresses, an iron sheet, and burned her like you would cook fish or meat.
765 killings related to witchcraft were recorded in 2013 alone, an increase from 630 the year before, according to the Legal and Human Rights Center in Tanzania. When tragic and inexplicable things happen, witch doctors, often operating as traditional healers, sought out for their supposed fortune-telling abilities, have been known to point the finger at unsuspecting individuals. Older women, marginalized and vulnerable, are sometimes blamed. The Tanzanian government recently said they would crack down on witch doctors because of their links to the murder of albino people for their body parts. But those who carry out these attacks, and those on women labeled witches, are rarely brought to justice.
If you tell the patients that they have been bewitched by somebody, you just create a conflict between the two. That is when killings can happen.
Behind the suspicion often lies a more sinister motive: greed. A simple accusation of witchcraft can condemn a woman to death, leaving her property and wealth to the accuser.
They think the only way to access that property, be it cows, be it farms, be whatever, is to claim that this lady is a witch, and in so doing, then it justifies for her death.
A month after the death of her parents, Mage Benge survived an attack on her life. Men entered her home after dark, slashed her with machetes, and left her for dead.
In June, I was seriously injured when men cut me with machetes during the night.
After 2 months in hospital, Mage was released with permanent disabilities. She had nowhere to go but back home.
Well, we now move on to sports, where Ushuru FC head coach Ken Kenyatta is looking to reshape his team ahead of the 2015 Kenyan Premier League season after a disappointing end to their 2014 campaign, where the side finished 12th on the log. With some new recruits, the tax collectors want to impress during the 2015 KPL season.
Only one touch. Yes. Ushuru FC head tactician Ken Kenyatta is geared to reshape his team ahead of the 2015 Kenyan Premier League season. After a bad ending to the 2014 KPL season that saw the tax collectors lose its last 10 matches, with working harder and smarter, the side is optimistic that they will better their last year's 12th placed finish.
Yeah, last year I think I did everything, but what I didn't have is the experienced players, of which I've told you I have now. I want to make sure to ensure that the first match I've got to get 3 points.
Unlike the KPL competitors, KRA have not gone for big names while securing their new recruits. The side opted for experienced players in the likes of former AFC Leopards Eric Masika and Charles Okwemba. The side will also have ex-Western Steamer forward Paul Odhiambo and defender David Mwangi from Mathare United in their bank during the 2015 season.
Tuna wachezaji wazoefu. Najua watatusaidia sana.
There are new faces in terms of in the team, but they are not new faces in the Kenya Premier League. So the only thing is this, that I want this case to have that coordination and that bond.
Ushuru FC is aware that the league will not be simple, but with a game plan in mind, they want to impress. Ushuru FC impressed during their opening campaign of the 2014 season, and with the new recruits, the side is expected to sparkle during their 2015 season. And with that, every game will be of major importance to the tax collectors.
My main target is to win one game, the first game. That's my main target. Yeah, where I'll be, it's only God knows.
The 2015 KPL season is expected to kick off mid of February this year.
Now that's it on the Weekend at 1 this afternoon. My name is Najma Ismail. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.